Здравствуйте.
Good morning. I'm really happy to speak at this forum after 2 years isolation. I was afraid to become wild, but now I have an opportunity to travel, to have business trips, and now I have an opportunity to talk at this forum. So I'll start my presentation with my gratitude to the organizers of this forum, of the 12th MINEX Forum, and the participants. And the topic of my presentation is while the code is unreliable part of attracting investments for mining sector in Kazakhstan. My name is Eurasian, and I'm the lead specialist on mineral resources assessment or resources geologist. So I'm a representative of CSA Global Company. I'll say a couple words about the company I'm working for. CSA Global is one of the leading consulting companies in the sphere of mining and extraction, and we provide any possible integrated consultations and advising for all the stages of development of a particular mining company. CSA Global has its offices all over the globe. We have significant experience of operating with different minerals all over the globe and in different conditions. Quite recently, we have become a subsidiary of ERM, Environmental Resource Management Company, which is a big environmental company operating in the sphere of ecology and having offices all over the globe, and which has more than 5,000 employees and volume of operation worth about $500 million per year. Now we are turning to presentation about the history of KZRC. KZRC is the development of standard for public statements. Its history started in Kazakhstan in 2014 within the framework of improvement of transparency and predictability of sphere of subsoil use and implementation of international system of standards of reporting on the reserves of solid minerals. It was included as 74th step of plan of Nation 100 steps. Also, we have created an institute of experts panel, and the first standard KZRC was adopted in 2016. As for the moment, and it would be correct to say that in September 2019, the family of risks combined 14 national standards of public reporting. And I would like to drive your attention to the map, and you see all the countries with developed mining sector has their own code of reporting, which is based on CRISCA model. It covers almost all the continent of the world except for the Antarctic. And I am also aware that some other countries also consider accession to CRISCA family, and Kyrgyzstan is working on this issue, and I hope that Kyrgyzstan will soon join this family. The most popular standards of reporting on CRISCA standard are JORC standard and I-43101 based on Canadian codes accepted all over the globe and stock exchanges. KZRC is a national standard of Kazakhstan, and it is and it will be obligatory for public statement, and the local stock exchange accepted together with JORC and an I-43101. On this slide, I would like to demonstrate the most popular global stock exchange where mining projects are listed with certain requirements, and in the fourth column you see that for all of them standard of public reporting is accepted. It is JORC or an I-43101 or South African standard. So I would like to mention that the public statements are based on these three pillars. Everything is simple, but the basis is transparency, materiality, and competency. Transparency is very clear, it's very straightforward. To investors should have everything transparent, that investors should understand what they are facing with. And the second requirement is materiality. All the reports have to contain all necessary information objectively required by investors and consultants. Investors should understand where they are investing to make an objective and motivated decision. And here at the items of materiality. Actually, materiality depends upon the size of the company. The first item says that all the information should be included, but we have to practice common sense. If we operate in a small exploration company, maybe for them it will be possible to publish information on a particular hole or particular ore body, but when you are working on for a big company, it is impossible to report on every hole, and maybe more generalized information for particular project could be provided. And the third pillar is competency level. So competence requires that the work to prepare the report should be based on the responsibility of persons with appropriate qualification experience who should comply with the norms of professional ethics. We would like to thank the speaker. All the materials of the forum will be available. The topic of my presentation, why it is important. Please understand that the code is very straightforward, and these provisions are the main drive for investors to come into this country and invest their funds. Actually, it was only 1/3 of my presentation, but my presentation will be available for you, and I'll provide information on the website. At any moment, you are invited to ask questions, and I will be happy to respond. Thank you very much.
To Mr. Colin Hay, Executive Vice President of Sequent, and the presentation is regarding digital transformation of exploration industry in Kazakhstan.
Oh, there we go. It's an extraordinary time to be playing this game of mineral exploration. Sometimes the odds seem stacked against us. Too few players on the field, too many on the other side, people changing the rules. But I hope to show you that in this game of mineral exploration, technology can actually provide you with an unfair advantage. A very heartfelt Salamets BA to you all. My name is Colin Hay. I'm the Executive Vice President for Sequent, running EMEA. Sequent, it could be said, is the largest subsurface geosciences software company in the world. Like football, it's important to understand the game that we're playing. Sorry, the slides. Global demand for metals, as you've heard earlier, is hitting near a perfect storm. The transition to renewable energies demands a fourfold increase in precious metals, base metals, and other mined products. Wind farms are hugely hungry, 4 or 5 times as much as an equivalent gas plant. Society demands higher environmental standards, lower emissions, better land management and reparation. The threshold to obtaining and keeping a license to operate just gets higher. And the backdrop to all of this is that all the easy stuff has already been found. In order to meet the demand, we're going to have to go further and dig deeper. But the good news, commodity prices are healthy. Iron ore, 142 a tonne. Copper, still healthy. Aluminium, around a 20-25-year high. To meet the demand, as I say, we're going to have to go further and dig deeper. Slides catching up? No? But clearly the higher commodity prices are good news for us. It means that we can afford to go further and dig deeper. Looking at this opportunity, this region in Kazakhstan are exceedingly well placed. Mining in Kazakhstan, round about 20% of your GDP. You sit on 30% of the chrome ore of the world, 5% of the copper, 10% of iron ore, 40% of the world's uranium comes from here. Together with the CIS, you are sat on potentially trillions and trillions of dollars of natural reserves. And governments are investing. Here in Kazakhstan, we've heard earlier, and there's talk of 2 billion investment going into exploration by 2030. As I said, Kazakhstan and the CIS countries could be said to already have an unfair advantage. So how can technology help? History tells us that back in the 20s, Enin Urvantsev, on this slide here, found abundant ochre screes and nodules of brown ore just lying in the ground. He was lucky. Back then, exploration was a pair of boots, a compass, and a hammer. In the 50s, we added geoscience, geotechnology, geophysics. Nowadays, technology is everything. Everything is at the fingertips of the engineer, the geotechnical, the geologist. We could talk a lot about technology, AI, ML, but I'll focus just on 4 key areas. Cloud technology allows geologists in the field to collect data and share it instantly over mobile apps or as soon as they're connected. Cloud processing in the cloud means you don't need to lug around expensive laptops and keep them updated with the latest software. TUMAD, a gold miner in Turkey, used cloud technology to connect geologists, geochemists, mine engineers in different locations to work on the same project at the same time. Cloud saved them time, removed ambiguity, and fueled collaboration. But nothing matters without data. Data is the core. Digital transformation is not about software. It's about the outcomes that the software lets you derive from the data. For example, Rugen, a Norwegian company, mapped the freshwater in Tanzania, not by airborne surveys or field surveys, but by taking 70 historical data sets, seismic, well logging, previous exploration reports, and using technology ultimately to enable water for over 1 million people. It saved them months and the huge cost of airborne surveys and groundwork. Digital is also about thinking about workflows. For example, looking at data collection and processing involves a number of functions like core logging, sampling, managing historical data, core imagery, and so on. Each has a tool for its purpose. But thinking about workflow means that we ensure that those tools work together across the different functions, combining those different data sets to allow teams to work faster and get to results sooner. All of this builds collaboration between geotechnical people, geologists, people in the camp, people in the field, management back in the office, to learn fast, to move quickly onto the next possibility. Let me quickly show you collaboration in action for itself. If you can, quickly get your phones out and click on the QR code. Click on the QR code and you can see how quickly we're all looking at the same 3D geological model, how easily we can all be having a constructive conversation without ambiguity. So what are the benefits of data, cloud, workflows, and collaboration? It all boils down to economics. Technology can lower costs. For example, wall bridge mining in Quebec reduced the time to capture and process imagery for hundreds of meters of core from 3 weeks to 2 days. Technology saves time. TUMAD in Turkey can now move from an initial data set to a preliminary model of an entire deposit in just 2 or 3 days. And for those who were at the user conference for Sequent yesterday, you'll have heard from Peter Gleeson at SRK about how they saved months on an operation in Uzbekistan. All of this helps management reach better decisions sooner, which means into production faster. Technology also helps reduce risk. As I mentioned before, the risk of drilling in the wrong place. And all of these play into profitability. Given the higher threshold for ESG, this is important, not just for raising capital, but also for building a brand and a business. that investors, markets, governments and regulators will trust in.
1 minute.
Success, though, with digital transformation requires a suite of integrated products. Sequent, I'm pleased to say, has all of that. We're about 650 people. In this region, we've been operating for 7 years, and we're investing here in Kazakhstan and the CIS. In addition to our 3D modeling with Leapfrog, we've recently added core imagery, data management in the cloud, electrical geophysics, geotechnical analysis, ground investigation management, and geostatistical analysis solutions. Not to mention our Bentley colleagues with iTwins, which are being implemented by some of you in the audience today. Sequent are very proud to be here in Kazakhstan and to be your partner in the geosciences technology space. Let me bring this to a close. For us in mining, the challenge is how to find, model, and estimate new stuff very, very quickly, extract it economically, and operate to higher standards. But we can be thankful. For us, the global challenges I mentioned are an opportunity. So, whilst Mr. Urvantsev might well have been very lucky, if we collaborate, if we integrate, if we're smart with technology, together we can create our own luck. Or, to put it another way, technology can give you an unfair advantage. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Следующее слово представляет.
Our next speaker is Roman Mizhoyev, the CEO of Brain Hunt, who will speak about the labor market in the mining industry of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Colleagues, good afternoon. My name is Roman Mizhoyev, and I'm the managing partner of Brain Hunt. We are seeking CEOs and profile solutions for mining sector. I'm going to speak about labor market in the mining sector of Kazakhstan, trends and analysis. Colleagues, I'm going to be brief because you're all looking forward to have your coffee. So let's jump into that. Today we discussed a lot concerning the mining sector trends. I'm going to highlight some of the aspects. Indeed, the production volumes go up. We have statistics here. The companies improve their operating efficiency and implement the projects aimed to reduce the operating costs. Geological reserves are depleted, and we are talking about intensive geological exploration and production with the new licenses and procedures to complete the existing projects. In 5-10 years, the industry is going to look entirely different. And also environment and sustainable development impacts in this sector. Recently, I was asked which kind of degree to get, and I recommended to focus on environmental disciplines because within 10-15 years it's going to be a hot topic. The labor market is affected by all these trends, and it's changing too. In some characteristics, starting with the lack of professionals, lack of experienced and skilled labor, it is challenging now. In 10-15 years, it's going to be even harder. How to retain your personnel? This is another problem faced by companies. The number of positions goes up as well as the deficit goes up. The rotation of personnel is another issue. If we take Kazakhstan, my colleagues also mentioned outflow of professional and skilled professionals from Kazakhstan. High competition between the companies, both locally and globally. Certain professions, certain skills are very highly competitive, which also impacts the salary rates and costs of the company on salaries. This is a brief overview of the reasons, the growth of production volume. They've lead to a higher demand in operating skills, especially those who are dealing with efficiency and production output. New deposits, new projects start, and the skills such as engineering, water specialists, launch of the new projects, commissioning of the projects, and so on. We also note a high demand in geologists. Low attractiveness of low-skilled workers. It's a huge problem, in fact, which is going to be even worse in the future. And the profile worker in the sector, unfortunately, these positions are not very attractive. We need to do something about it locally and globally. Graduates with university degrees also raise a number of issues. And there is a disbalance between the employers' expectations and employees' skills. And sometimes, once you have a newcomer in the company, a freshman or graduate coming to a company, such persons, such employees require complete retraining. So the mining companies, in fact, develop their function as educational institutions. And it is also important to note that the graduates are not prepared to continue to apply their knowledge in practice. About 15% of graduates do not go into this sector. The next slide shows the demands in skills, in categories and areas. We included into this table some segments, open mining works and subsoil mining works. Here we have a very high demand, especially in the Russian Federation. In geology, there is a demand which is very high, including all levels, starting from the lowest and going to CEOs. In metallurgical segments, the situation is pretty even. There is a high demand in skilled professionals, metallurgists. A very interesting situation in maintenance skills. In Kazakhstan, the situation is more challenging compared with Russia. In Kazakhstan, the maintenance skills are highly demanded. Probably it's a new trend in development of the mining sector. Corporate functions, CEOs with labor protection skills and safety skills are in a very high demand. Operating efficiency and operating cost specialists are in high demand as well, both for existing and for the new projects. This chart shows the growth of average salary rates in Kazakhstan starting from 2015. We specifically put here metallurgical segment, mining sector, and we focus that the salary rates will continue to grow in the future. Sometimes, in some years, in the mining sector, salary rates went higher, compared and competing with metallurgical segments. I also want to specifically mention such problem as outflux of personnel from the industry. We searched headhunter websites and looked into the number of CVs posted in the mining and production segments. We have some statistics here in this slide, and about 1/3 of potential candidates would accept relocation. And we are talking about the personnel who actively seeking the jobs. So in fact, it means that the skilled professionals are pretty flexible and ready for relocation. Statistics also highlights the share of skilled workers who seek jobs in Kazakhstan in the mining sector. Our focus would be the following. We focused in average term and in long term the growth in demand, and we believe that mining sector in Kazakhstan has a great potential to hire foreign skilled workers in this sector. One second. As for demotivators or factors that demotivate professionals, they differ in Kazakhstan and in Russia. Some factors are similar, though. For Kazakhstanis, salary rates plays the key role, and for Russian skilled workers, medical insurance and work hours are the priorities. And this is our last slide about our company. We are 3 years old. We have 4 areas, which includes search of CEOs, professionals, HR consulting, and HR consulting is the focus of this presentation. And last year, we also opened search of workers, skilled workers for mining sector and metallurgical sector in teams, in fact, and setting up teams. Thank you, Roman. Thank you for your interesting presentation. I hope speakers will be available to continue informal discussions in Sararka 3 within the next 30 minutes, because between 10:30 and 11 a.m. We will have a break, and we will be looking forward to see you at the third session.